Does the idea of playing through a roguelite Metroidvania action platformer set in an ancient, sprawling, ever-changing castle with the threat of permadeath looming around every corner, where you have to literally beat the entire game in one life without the assistance of any checkpoints sound like a game for you, then you might want to check out this review for Dead Cells. What is going on, guys? Randall Thor 19, the man with the million, back again with another review. And this week on my Rand's Indie Spotlight, we're going to be taking a look at Dead Cells by Motion Twin, available tomorrow, August 7th, on the Xbox One, the PS4, the Switch, and the PC for the price of $25. And I want to thank the devs for sending over a code for the purpose of this video, and all the footage you are watching will be from the Xbox One X version of the game. Now, one of the things you need to know right away heading into Dead Cells is that you aren't going to beat the game the first time you load it up. You're definitely not going to beat it on your 10th run through, and you're probably not going to beat it on your 40th. So if that frustrates you or bothers you for whatever reason, you might want to turn off this review now, although you will be missing out on a fantastic game. So the very first time you load up Dead Cells and get into the game, you're going to be a corpse on the ground that gets reanimated. You'll be given a sword that you can use on the X button, and a choice between a shield or a bow you can use on Y. You also have a dodge roll that is tied to the B button that has invincibility frame, so it's really good for dodging through enemy attacks and not taking any damage. And your journey begins. You're basically going to try to escape this prison and find out what exactly is going on at this castle, but you're going to die and die again. But that's okay, because death isn't really a punishment, it's more of a learning experience, because every run through of a level, you're going to get better acquainted with the enemies and what their attack patterns are and when it's best to row through them, because a lot of them can hit pretty damn hard. Even though the enemies will be your ultimate downfall in the game, they are also your salvation, as through them, you will get more powerful gear and better abilities to help you survive longer and longer. They will drop gold, which you can use to buy different weapons and abilities at some of the shops scattered around each of the levels. They will also drop blueprints, which are new weapons, maybe a fire bow or an ice bow, maybe a sword that, throws out oil, or a ice grenade that have to be unlocked at the collector for future use. But most importantly, they drop the cells, which are blue orbs that are used to unlock the blueprints and the abilities for future use. As you complete a level, you will make a visit to the collector, where you can use your cells to unlock any of the blueprints that you have currently collected or upgrade any of the abilities that you have. For instance, on left bumper, you have a healing flask, which you can use one time to refill some of your health. However, you can eventually upgrade that to 2 times, but it will cost you 50 cells. I currently have it upgraded to level 3, which lets me, of course, use it 3 times, but that third one cost me 300 cells. So you can tell how killing enemies and collecting the cells and the blueprints and then spending them to get the better gear and better abilities will make each run easier and easier as you go through. Now, I almost didn't play Dead Cells, which is pretty crazy to me considering how much I enjoy the game, for the simple fact that it is a roguelike game. I have yet to enjoy a title that was in that genre. And I think there's a whole bunch of reasons why I did enjoy this title. The one is the combat. It's fast, furious, and it just controls so well. Moving your character around, jumping up and down, smashing through floors, getting behind enemies, using your attacks and your abilities is so fluid and so fun, and it makes you feel pretty damn powerful. The first time you go through a level, it might take you a little bit of time to get acclimated to the enemy's attacks and stuff, but by the time you're going through your 5th or 6th attempt, you will really feel powerful, because you will just be wrecking these enemies, and the combat just feels great every single time. It just is so much fun to play, and that overcame my apprehension of constantly replaying the same levels over and over again. Now, one of the other things I really enjoyed about the title was the art style. It is absolutely gorgeous, and it has a pretty damn good soundtrack to boot. I also like the different types of weapons and abilities you can get as you play, all the different blueprints, because you can get some pretty damn good, awesome combinations. During one of my better runs, I was able to get some equipment and weapons that really worked well together and helped me just melt the enemies and made me feel like an utter badass. For example, I was able to get a deployable arrow launcher that fired 2 arrows, and when they hit an enemy, they poisoned the enemy and started stacking poison damage. I also had a deployable saw blade launcher that actually did 100% extra damage to poisoned enemies and also set them on fire, while my bow and arrow that I had did 100% extra damage to enemies that were on fire. So as you can imagine, every time I got into a fight, I kept on throwing out my 2 abilities using my bow and arrow, and I just completely wrecked every single enemy I came across, and I was able to get pretty damn far. It was a lot of fun. Dead Cells also has some pretty interesting replayability options. You know, as you're going through the game, you can go as slow as possible, exploring every nook and cranny of every map to find every single secret, kill all the enemies, get all the cells and gold that you need, but you are also rewarded with actually speedrunning, as there are gates on some of the maps that are timed, and if you don't get there within a certain amount of time, they'll be closed. But if you happen to make it to the gate in time, you'll be rewarded with tons of gold, potentially some great rare blueprints, and more cells. So you are rewarded for how you play, and I think that is pretty damn cool. Now, the one big drawback for me about Dead Cells was the fact that it barely had a story worth mentioning at all. I really couldn't even tell you what it was about because it's not really important to the game. You'll talk to certain characters and they'll tell you some things, and you'll find some clues in some books and stuff about what's going on, but it's not really an important part of the game. Trophies and achievement hunters out there, beware, this is going to be a pretty damn hard and long completion. It's going to require you to complete the game a whole bunch of times and even beat the bosses without getting hit. But even though it doesn't have a story, everything else the game does, it does well. Dead Cells looks great, it sounds great, and most importantly, the controls are fluid and responsive, whether you're engaging in battle against 10 different enemies or exploring all the different nooks and crannies of every single map to find all the different secrets. So if you are a fan of the roguelite Metroidvania genre, this is a must-play, must-own for you at $25. You are going to love every single second of Dead Cells. For everybody out there who maybe is a little bit on the fence about roguelites like I was, keep Dead Cells in your mind because this game is pretty damn cool and you might end up enjoying it. Maybe not for $25, maybe down the road when it goes on sale for $20 or $15. And if the idea of permadeath scares you, if the idea of having to beat the game in one playthrough is something you don't think you'll enjoy, yeah, then maybe I would pass on the game. But honestly, I'm not one who enjoys permadeath either, but there's just something great about Dead Cells, which is why I'm going to give the title an 8.5. I was constantly surprised by how much this game has to offer and how good it felt on my second run, my 10th run, and my 20th run. I can't recommend Dead Cells enough, guys. Anyways, that is the review. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Share this out on Twitter so more people can check out the review. Hit the sub button if you're new to the channel. Hi, what's going on? I'm Thor 19. Hit that notification bell so you're always notified when I drop new content. I always enjoy doing a positive rants in the spotlight. I know the last couple on the channel have been a little bit negative, but it's nice to get back into a really great indie title. And if there's any games that you want to see me review in the future, make sure you leave a comment below, not only about Dead Cells and if you think the game looks pretty cool, but also future indie titles that are coming out that you would like to see me tackle in a review of some sort. So once again, thank you guys for watching. I greatly appreciate it, and I hope you enjoy Dead Cells if you pick it up. Later, guys.